Hey guys, this is Goku, and on this channel we talk about poker and ideas that can improve your life. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click the subscribe button because I'll be honored to have you here. Today we're gonna jump into another GTO trainer session. This is a series where we play all kinds of different GTO spots on the WPT GTO trainer, and today we're playing the MP2 Open versus Big Blind Call. We are almost finished with this spot. Each spot we're playing 500 hands, and here we are, I think, at a 450 hand mark. So just 2 sessions left, and we are doing pretty good. So if you're interested in seeing the previous sessions, you can check them out in the playlist in the description of this video. So let's jump right into it. And for our first hand, we've got Queen Jack of Hearts on an 8 Ace 9 with 2 hearts. I think this is a bet 5. Yes, it is, but the villain folds. Now we have Jack Queen of spades on a tray 8-7. That's gonna be a bet 2 or a bet 5. Either way is fine. It's about 50-50. We hit our queen on the turn. Now, do we bet 3/4 or do we overbet? I think this might be an overbet spot. Okay, overbetting is 77% of the strategy, but surprisingly, ideal action is a check, played 11% of the time, so sometimes we should check here. But overbetting, this is the perfect spot for overbetting. Ace 8 of diamonds on a deuce 4-5. I think this is a bet 2 spot. Or a check maybe? No, it's a bet 2, okay. We get called, 6 of hearts on the turn. Do we continue betting with our hand? I think not, I think we're checking it down. And that's the ideal action, played 64% of the time. King on the river, and the villain bets quarter pot. Do we call it, do we raise it, do we fold? I think we call here with ace 8 of diamonds, right? Okay, we don't. We should just fold 99% of the time. It's not a call at all. And it's a quite substantial EV loss. Okay, good to know. Pocket 3s on a queen 9 ace. That's gonna be a bet 2. Or a bet 5, villain folds. Now we have pocket 8s on a 5-9-5. It's a bet 2. It's a check 81% of the time. Villain re-raises to 8.5 BBs. I think we call here, as we should. Ace on the turn. We're checking behind. Okay, villain actually likes betting here. A third pot bet. 37% of the time, but 61 he checks. And we have a 10 of hearts on the river. I think we're checking it down with pocket 8s here. We are, and yeah, we'll lose to a 9. That's unfortunate. Now we have 8-6 of diamonds on a tray 5-7. I think this is a bet 2. It is. Villain calls. We hit our straight on the turn. Now, do we overbet here? Do we bet 3/4? I think we overbet here. Is that right? Yes. We overbet 69% of the time, but the villain folds. King Queen of Hearts on a 5-4-9. Probably it's a bet 2. It is. Played 53% of the time. We get called. Jack on the turn. I think we continue betting here with our hand. Okay, actually checking is the ideal action, played 80% of the time. And the remainder 20% we should bet 3/4 like we did, and EV loss is pretty much the same. Pocket 5s on an 8-7-6. Is that a check behind? Yes, it is. We hit our straight on the turn, and the villain overbets the pot. Now, do we call here? Do we raise? I think we raise here, right? Okay, no. We should just call here. 98% of the time. Raising is bad. it's just 1.5% of the strategy and big EV loss. Well, maybe not big, but substantial. We should just call here on the turn. Okay, good to know. 6-7 of diamonds on an 8-10 ace. Is that a bet 5? Yes, it is. Villain folds. Ace-10 off on a tray 4-4. That's a bet 2. Yep. Villain calls. We have a 9 of spades on the turn. I think we check. Yeah, that's the ideal action, but played 53% of the time, so the solver does 47% of betting here on this 9. And we have an 8 of spades on the river. And I think we should bet here, but how much? This may be a half pot bet. Okay, it's not. Well, betting here half pot is a bad play. It's minus 0.94 EV loss. We should just check behind with our hand here. I think, yeah, our hand is too good to bet here. Okay. Pocket threes on a 5-3 ace. That's a bet 5 probably, or bet 2. Okay, it's a bet 2 61% of the time, bet 5 38% of the time, but the villain folds. Pocket jacks on a deuce straight tray with 2 hearts. I think it's a bet 2. Yes, it is, but the villain folds again. Ace jack off on a 9-6 ace. That's a bet 2. Yep, it is. Villain folds again. 10-8 of hearts on a tray jack 9. Bet 2. Oh, that's actually a bet 5. 69% of the time. Betting 2 is 6% of the strategy. Similar EV loss. But we can see the solver does quite a bit of checking here with our hand. Now we obviously call the raise. Tray of clubs on the turn. Is this a card that we should bet? Probably so. I'm gonna bet 3/4 here. Okay, actually it's a donk bet spot. Okay, this is really important. This is a perfect spot for a donk bet, and we gotta memorize it. We have a open ender. Scary card comes on the turn, and we can see the solver really likes donk betting, so betting a quarter pot bet on such turns. It does that 90% of the time. Betting 3/4 is just 1% of the strategy and a small EV loss. So I think the rest of the time the solver is just checking behind. Ace jack off on a 9-king jack. That's a bet 2. That's a check, okay. Mostly, I mean 62% of the time. Bet 2, 27% of the time. Now the 8 of hearts comes on the turn and the villain checks. Are we betting it? Are we checking? Perhaps that's a check. Yes, it is 78% of the time. And a queen of spades on the river means we're checking it down. Yes, we are, and the villain shows up with a straight. Ace queen off on a king deuce jack. We're betting 2 here, or betting 5. 6 of spades on the turn. Do we bet again here, or do we check? I think we check with our hand, or do we bet? Okay, check is 31%, over bet is 65%. 8 of hearts on the river, and I think we're just checking it behind. We're not contesting the spot, yeah. 96% of the time we should just check behind here. Pocket aces on 6 tray 9. I think that's a bet 2. Yes, it is. Villain folds. Ace jack of diamonds on a queen tray 9 with 2 diamonds. Is that a bet 5 or bet 2? It's a bet 5, okay. It's a bet 5 55% of the time. 6% of the time the solver bets 2, and we can see around 40% it's checking here, so we also need to get our checking frequencies better. villain folds. Pocket nines on a 6, 10, 10, it's a bet 2. Already check, we get raised, so we're gonna call, as we should, and a jack of diamonds on the turn means we are checking behind. Yep. And a deuce of diamonds on the river. Are we again checking, or are we betting half pot here? I think we're checking behind. Yeah, we should be checking here 95% of the time. And villain's got nothing. King 7 of hearts. Ace jack on a king queen 10. I think that's a bet 2 or 5. Let's bet 2. Okay, it's a bet 5 ideally, but a third of the time, and bet 2 65% of the time. We have a 9 of clubs on the turn, and I think we continue betting here, but do we overbet it? Or do we just bet 3/4? I think we bet 3/4. Okay, no, we should overbet here 95% of the time, and 3/4 pot bet is just 5% of the strategy. Now there's an ace on the river, and the villain leads for dog bet. We're obviously shoving. Yep, villain's got a jack, unfortunately, and we split the pot. Ace 3 of clubs on an 8, ace 5. Is that a check, perhaps? Okay, it's a check 21% of the time, bet 279. Now there's a jack of diamonds on the turn, and we're gonna do a delayed c-bet. And here is 50-50, either we should delay a c-bet or check again. And a deuce of hearts on the river means we're gonna try and extract some value and bet 3/4. And that's actually a bad play. At least the solver thinks it's bad. It would check here 92% of the time. So I'm assuming that the other 8% or 7% is doing half pot bet instead of a 3/4 pot bet. But nonetheless, we actually got our thin value because the villain called us with a jack, so that's not bad. Ace 10 off on an 8-4 tray with 2 spades. We're gonna bet 2 here, and the villain folds. King 9 of hearts on a 9 queen tray. That's a bet 2. Okay, that's a check. I actually thought about checking. 75% of the time we should check here. Good to know. But yeah, the betting 2 is also fine, but just 9% of the strategy. We're gonna check the 8 of clubs on the turn, as we should. And a 5 of spades on the river means we're checking again. Yep, and the villain's got the same hand. Ace jack of hearts on a 6-5 ace with all clubs. I think we're gonna bet 2 here. We should. And the villain calls. Queen on the turn. Are we betting again? Maybe that's a third pot bet. It's not. It should be a 3/4 pot bet, 76% of the time. Betting a third is fine, EV-wise, but just 2% of the strategy. And we're gonna check it down on the 3 of clubs on the river. Yep. Pocket fours on 9-8-6. That's probably a bet 5. Okay, betting 5 here is medium EV loss. We should just check here 71% of the time, or bet 2. That is good to know. I think the solver likes to bet 5, but on ace high boards or king high boards. Not such straight T boards and lower cards. We're gonna check now. Yeah, we're not gonna know what happens here because the solver didn't calculate this line. But I think we are just going to call this actually because that doesn't matter. We just want to find out what the hero has, and the villain has queen 10. Okay. All right, we've played our 25 hands for the day. Yeah, the session hasn't been great, but it's not been bad either. Minus 20 BBs of EV loss. This is somewhat of an average score of ours. Yeah, I'd like to keep the sessions below below this number, of course, but we made some quite big mistakes here. Maybe not quite big, but some mistakes. And as we can see, our aggression was way off. We bet or raised way too often and check or called not enough, and also we didn't fold even once, and the solver did fold just once. But yeah, we had this spot where we bet instead of checking with our ace. We had this one. Yeah, we had a few minor mistakes, I would say, or medium mistakes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you stay this long, please leave a comment below. Just write GTO or ask any question you might have. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Give this video a thumbs up. Check out the links in the description of this video. You can watch the previous sessions in a playlist that I've compiled, and also the previous spots you can watch as well. So check that out by all means, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.